Hurricane Beryl has strengthened to a Category 1 hurricane, making landfall in southern Texas and becoming the first storm in the Atlantic hurricane season to hit the mainland US.
열대성 폭풍이던 Beryl이 1등급 허리케인으로 다시 강해진 상태로 미국 텍사스 남부에 상륙하면서 올해 미국을 강타한 첫 대서양 허리케인으로 기록됐습니다. Okay, so yeah, we're hearing a lot of stories about Hurricane Beryl in America.
We are. It hit the Gulf Coast of Texas early Monday local time, according to the National Hurricane Center. And it was running at about 128 kilometers per hour when it came to winds.
Yes.
We saw two locations west of Houston had major flooding on Monday. There were about 3 million homes of businesses that had power knocked out.
Oh dear.
Sadly, two people were killed by falling trees onto their homes. And a state disaster declaration has been made in 121 counties across Texas. Many have been advised to evacuate. This is a big deal because we've seen that hurricane season is a life or death situation sometimes, and they want to make sure that everyone's protected.
네, 휴스턴 서쪽으로 지금 범람 소식도 있고요. 그 다음에는 이제 한 300만 가구 정도가 전력이 끊겼다고 합니다. 이게 전력이 다시 공급이 될 때까지 며칠 걸릴 수 있다 이렇게 얘기를 하네요. 아이고. 자, hurricane has made landfall이라는 표현 보겠습니다.
Meaning it's hit the land. It's gone from the water to the earth. Yeah, so if something makes landfall, and I think we use this mainly for hurricanes and typhoons, it's going to mean that it's hit the land, meaning it's affecting, well, the island or the mainland.
네, 상륙했다는 뜻으로 make landfall 한 단어입니다. landfall. make landfall이 바로 상륙하다입니다. 자, 그 다음에는 mainland라는 표현을 볼까요?
Or we can just compare Seoul and Jeju. Seoul is on the mainland, whereas the city of Jeju is on the island of Jeju. It's not part of the mainland, meaning the large area of land.
네, 그렇습니다. 본토라는 뜻이 되겠죠. mainland. 이것도 역시 한 단어예요. 아까도 이제 make 그 다음에 landfall이라는 단어가 있었고 이번에는 mainland. 다 이제 land가 많이 들어가는데 of course we're talking about how the hurricane is affecting the land.
Yes.
So we have many words to do with that. 다시 읽어보겠습니다. Hurricane Beryl has strengthened to a Category 1 hurricane, making landfall in southern Texas and becoming the first storm in the Atlantic hurricane season to hit the mainland US. Let's move on to our next headline.
Two pistols that Napoleon Bonaparte once intended to use on himself have been sold in France for $1.8 million at auction, with the French government banning their exports so that they stay in the country as national treasures.
나폴레옹 보나파르트가 자결용으로 사용하려고 했던 권총 두 자루가 경매에서 180만 달러, 우리 돈으로 약 25억 원에 팔렸습니다. 그러나 프랑스 정부는 이 물건을 국보로 지정하고 국외 반출을 금지한 상황입니다. Tell us more.
Well, we don't know who bought them, but we do know they went, above the estimated price, the asking price. So we're seeing $1.8 million for these very valuable and very important pistols because they played a major part in Napoleon's life. Back in 1814, when he was having to give up power, when his army was defeated, when Paris was occupied, he almost used them. He did not. Instead, he took poison, but he did survive.
Yeah.
And then he gave the pistols to his squire. And the squire is sort of his handyman, his servant, the person next to him. And so these went on sale, but the French Culture Ministry have classed them as national treasures. They've banned the export. So it doesn't matter how old they are, doesn't matter how much they're worth. Once they've been qualified as a national treasure, they can leave France, but only temporarily. They have to return. So maybe they could be lent to a museum for an exhibition, but they always have to come back to France.
그랬군요. 1814년에 이제 패하면서 그 패배를 받아들이기가 굉장히 힘든 이 상황 속에 있는 나폴레옹 보나파르트가 자결을 하기 위해서 이 권총을 쓰려고 했다고 합니다. 그렇지만 결국은 권총을 쓰지 않고 독약을 먹었는데 또 이게 좀 공교롭게도 그게 결국은 다시 올라온 거예요. vomited라는 표현을 이제 영어 기사에서 쓰고 있는데 그래서 이걸 다시 다 뱉어내다 보니까 결국은 죽지 않았습니다. 그리고 지금 얘기한 그 문제의 그 권총, 이거를 이제 프랑스에서는 이건 그래도 의미가 굉장히 있는 국보니까 절대로 이거는 다른 나라로 가져가면 안 된다라고 하고 있는 거죠.
He's such a big figure in France. If you've been to Paris, if you've ever had a chance to see his tomb, it's an astonishing monument to him, this relatively small man who made a large impression on France. So it's no wonder they want to keep these pistols in France because they're part of France's history.
Exactly.
You know, if they left France, you know how they would cry?
How?
They go Napoleon, ong.
I think that was intended to make our listeners laugh. And
Maybe.
the pistols in question were intended to be used to end one's life, to intend to do something. What's that?
Meaning that's your plan, that's your desire, that's your wish, that's your want, that's what you think you're going to do. It doesn't mean you will. Like in this case, he intended to use the pistols, but he did not. Sue always intends to get through the show without any bad jokes from Paul, and she always fails.
Intend to do something 이라는 거는요. 무엇을 할 작정이다. 이런 의도로 한다라는 뜻입니다. 자, ban the export of something.
Yes, so export means, being sold outside of the country, taken to another country. And if it's banned, it means it is forbidden. It's not allowed. So if there's a ban on something, it must not happen. For example, some teachers may ban smartphones from the classroom, meaning they are not allowed.
Absolutely. So it's not always used in the sense of exports and imports, but in this case, basically just taking it out of the country.
Yes, and banning is always going to be about an organization restricting the use or the ability or the action of someone.
Sure. banning은 금지한다는 뜻이고요. export는 여기서 수출이라기보다는 반출이 되겠습니다. 그래서 프랑스 밖으로 국외 반출하는 것을 금한다. banning the export of these pistols, so taking it out of France 이런 의미입니다. 자, 다시 읽어볼게요. Two pistols that Napoleon Bonaparte once intended to use on himself have been sold in France for $1.8 million at auction, with the French government banning their export so that they stay in the country as national treasures. Here's our final headline.
Singer Justin Bieber was reportedly paid a whopping $10 million for an hour-long performance at India's billionaire heir Anant Ambani's pre-wedding bash.
가수 저스틴 비버가 인도 부호의 후계자 아난트 암바니의 결혼식 식전 행사에서 1시간 공연을 대가로 무려 $1,000,000, 우리 돈으로 약 138억 원을 출연료로 받은 것으로 알려졌습니다. We're talking about crazy rich people.
We are.
Reference to the movie title in the book. And they decided they wanted to have Justin Bieber at the wedding, and so they had him over. This wasn't a concert. This was a private event, wasn't it?
Yeah, and they're actually getting married July 12th. That's their 3-day ceremony.
But this has already happened, hasn't it?
Well, they've had a lot of celebrities over. This has been going on since last month. Since February. In February, Rihanna performed. In June, there was Katy Perry. There's also been the Backstreet Boys. There's been Pitbull, the rapper. There's been the opera singer, the tenor, Andrea Bocelli.
My goodness, wow.
This is a big deal. They are billionaires. They're also childhood friends, which I think is quite romantic. They've known each other for a long time. His father's daughter, when she got married, the wedding cost $100 million US dollars, and Beyonce performed. So this is just carrying on the family tradition.
Exactly. 엄청난 부자기 때문에 우리가 이제 감히 상상도 할 수 없는 액수의 돈을 지금 쓰면서 정작 이제 본 결혼식은 아직 치러지지 않았다고요? 언제라 그랬죠?
It's July 12th is when the 3-day ceremony takes place. This was at a pre-wedding party.
그러네요. 자, 이제 본식은 7월 12일부터 그것도 하루가 아니네요. 3일 동안 본식이 진행이 되는데 그 결혼식 전 행사로 유명한 연예인들, 가수들 이렇게 불러서 일종의 피로연 같은 건데 식전 행사로 이렇게 치르고 있다고 합니다. 그래서 저스틴 비버가 $1,000,000, 한 140억 원 정도를 받고 요 가족을 위해서 1시간 동안 노래를 열심히 불렀다고 해요.
I'm also available for pre-wedding parties at the same price. Just get in touch with EBS.
And what would you do for that money? Sing,
I'd sing Justin Bieber
dance?
songs. Yeah,
Oh.
dance as well, do everything. Yeah. I'm an all-round entertainer.
Paul is available.
Yeah.
And I might be too.
No. If you've seen our Instagram, you've seen how Sue dances this morning.
정경화님이 우와 아무리 자본주의라지만 조영수님도 나도 가수 될 걸 하셨습니다. 네, we would be willing to go and sing and dance and
teach English.
and teach English for just 1% of that fee.
Sure,
But
I mean,
it would
10%
still-
would be better.
10% would be
Yeah.
better, but still it would
We'll
be
do it. Tom Cruise, if you're listening.
astronomical. 자, 그래요. Let's have a look at the first expression. Whopping.
Whopping with a silent H, WHOPPING, meaning huge, massive, enormous.
그렇죠. 이 $10 million는 우리가 평상시 구경도 못하는 돈인데 정말 어마어마하게 큰 돈이기 때문에 그런 의미의 whopping이 앞에 붙었습니다.
Yeah, in British English, we often pair it with another word for big. So it feels like a little unnecessary, like whopping great or whopping big, whatever. Which is a tautology, but that's okay.
Yeah, exactly. 자, 그래서 어마어마한 액수인이라는 뜻의 whopping이 쓰였어요. 이거는 뭐 이제 돈의 액수뿐만 아니라 무언가의 크기에 대해서도
네.
쓸 수 있습니다. 굉장히 크다는 뜻이고요. 그다음에 이 wedding bash이라는 표현이 나오는데 이게 뭐죠?
Do you promise not to hit me if I explain this?
bash.
So one meaning of bash is to hit or to punch.
Yeah.
But here, it's a much nicer meaning. It means a big party, a big celebration, often used for weddings and birthdays or Christmas or any time when people get together for a few drinks and a bit of a boogie.
Exactly. 자, 동사 bash는 뭔가 때린다는 뜻이지만 그게 아니고요. 명사 bash입니다. 파티라는 뜻이 되겠어요. 그래서 pre-wedding bash, pre-wedding party, basically.
Yes. Not to be confused with one of the seven dwarfs.
Oh yes, bashful.
Which means you're shy and you get
I'm so
embarrassed
shy.
easily. So three very different meanings with bash in them.
그러네요. 스노우 화이트에 있는 드워프 이름들이 다 성격을 나타내는
네.
이름들이었죠. 근데 bashful이라는 이름이 하나 있었는데 굉장히 수줍어하는 그 캐릭터였습니다. 그래서 bashful 하면은 그런 뜻이 되겠고요. 자, 다시 한번 헤드라인 읽어보겠습니다. Singer Justin Bieber was reportedly paid a whopping $10 million for an hour-long performance at India's billionaire heir Anant Ambani's pre-wedding bash. And that's it for today's headlines.